The Oklahoma City Thunder have solidified themselves as one of the NBA's elite defensive powerhouses this season. Boasting an impressive 32-6 record, they sit comfortably atop the Western Conference standings, looking like a lock for the #1 seed as we approach the All-Star break. Their defensive dominance has been the driving force behind this remarkable start, allowing them to drop only 6 games with nearly half the season in the books. Whether it's shutting down isolation plays or dismantling pick-and-roll schemes, OKC's defense is rewriting the playbook and setting a new benchmark for the league. Let's dive in and break it all down. The Thunder currently dominate the league defensively, ranking first in defensive rating with an impressive 102.9, a wide margin ahead of the second-placed Orlando Magic. To put this into perspective, the gap between the Thunder and the Magic is greater than the gap between the Magic and the 8th-ranked team in this category. This remarkable performance highlights just how far ahead they are defensively. What's even more impressive is their growth from last season, where their defensive rating stood at 111. The leap to 102.9 is a testament to their commitment to stifling opponents and making every possession a nightmare. They've also tightened the screws on opposing shooters, leading the league in opponents' effective field goal percentage, holding teams to a frigid 42.5%, a significant improvement from their 45.5% mark last season. Their excellence extends beyond just one area. In transition defense, they're unmatched, allowing the fewest fast break points per game at just 11.9. And when the game slows down in the half court, they're just as dominant, leading the league in opponent points per possession. The credit for this defensive transformation belongs to a combination of factors. The continued growth and development of returning players have been crucial, but the off-season additions of Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein have also been game changers. Both have brought a level of grit and expertise that has elevated the Thunder's defensive identity to new heights. Now, let's dive into some of the key players who have taken significant strides defensively and explore just how impactful they've been in propelling the Thunder to the top of the defensive leaderboard this season. Let's begin with Dort, the heartbeat of their perimeter defense. Dort's defensive versatility is nothing short of extraordinary. He has the unique ability to guard all 5 positions, as seamlessly switching from towering big men in the post to lightning-quick guards on the perimeter. This rare blend of strength and agility makes him arguably the most versatile defender in the league today. The numbers back it up. In isolation situations, Dort is a fortress, holding opponents to a staggering 0.46 points per possession, ranking first among players who have defended at least 25 isolation possessions this season. That's ahead of elite defenders like Amen Thompson, Dyson Daniels, and Jaren Jackson Jr. But his dominance doesn't stop there. Dort is equally impactful in pick-and-roll scenarios, ranking in the top 4 for pick-and-roll defense. He allows just 0.79 points per possession against players who have defended at least 150 pick-and-roll actions, forcing a turnover on more than 1 out of every 5 plays. What's even more impressive? Dort ranks in the top 5 for both opponent field goal percentage and opponent three-point percentage, outperforming defensive powerhouses like Victor Wembanyama, Evan Mobley, and Anthony Davis, categories traditionally dominated by towering big men. Simply put, Dort's unparalleled combination of brute strength and lateral quickness makes him a nightmare for ball handlers and one of the most complete defenders in the game today. Next up, we have Jalen Williams, a rising star whose defensive impact this season has been phenomenal. Much like Dort, J-Dub's versatility allows him to seamlessly guard almost any player on the court. In the paint, he's been a dominant force, holding opponents to just 54% shooting at the rim. Impressively, he ranks 9th in opponent field goal percentage at the rim, and notably, he's the only non-center in the top 12. Williams's remarkable combination of length and timing has played a pivotal role in OKC leading the league in opponent field goal percentage at the rim. But his defensive prowess doesn't stop there. In isolation situations, Jalen has been a nightmare for opponents, holding them to a mere 0.47 points per possession. That ranks him second among all players who have defended at least 25 isolation possessions this season. trailing only his teammate Dort. While OKC is stacked with elite pick-and-roll defenders, Jalen's contributions in this area have flown under the radar. In pick-and-roll defense, he limits ball handlers to just 0.71 points per possession, a mark that places him in the top 5 among players who have defended at least 100 such possessions. As a whole, J-Dub has made significant strides in his defensive game. He's holding opponents to 42.1% shooting so far this season, an impressive improvement from 44.8% last year. Whether it's protecting the rim, locking down in isolation, or disrupting the pick and roll, Jalen Williams has become an indispensable part of OKC's defensive dominance. One player who has been a revelation this season is sophomore sensation Cason Wallace. Despite being in just his second year, Wallace has emerged as a defensive cornerstone for the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team with serious title aspirations. At only 21 years old, he has seamlessly adapted to the NBA, earning a reputation for his tenacious on-ball defense. Though slightly undersized, Wallace more than compensates with his exceptional strength and agility, allowing him to hold his own against larger opponents. His defensive IQ is far beyond his years, and his knack for contesting shots without fouling has been a game changer. On the perimeter, his quick feet and lateral movement make it a nightmare for opponents to get past him. Wallace's impact isn't just about staying in front of his man. His instincts for disrupting plays are extraordinary. With 131 total deflections this season, he ranks 4th in the entire league. Alongside that, he is also averaging 1.7 steals per game, making Wallace one of only 5 players in the NBA's top 15 for steals per game who plays fewer than 30 minutes a night. Moreover, he's already racked up the 3rd most steals on the Thunder this season, trailing only Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, both of whom have logged significantly more minutes. Wallace's quick reactions, ability to deflect passes, and timing on steals have made him an indispensable piece on the Oklahoma City Thunder. One player on the Thunder roster who has flown under the radar for his defensive contributions this season is Isaiah Joe. In the first year of his 4-year, $48 million contract, Joe has not only exceeded expectations, but has also made his deal look like one of the league's biggest steals. While he's long been celebrated for his sharp shooting, this season has marked a turning point in his development as a true two-way player. Defensively, Joe has shown remarkable improvement. He's holding opponents to just 33% shooting from beyond the arc as the primary defender, a significant leap from last season's 39.3%. On pick and rolls, his impact is even more impressive. Joe is limiting ball handlers to just 0.68 points per possession. That's good enough to rank him 6th among 265 players who have defended at least 60 pick and roll possessions this season. To put that in perspective, he's outperforming defensive standouts like Jalen Williams and Dort, both of whom are widely regarded as some of the NBA's premier wing defenders. As the season progresses, Joe has the opportunity to refine his defensive toolkit even further, solidifying his role as a key two-way rotational player when the playoffs arrive. If his current trajectory is any indication, Isaiah Joe might not only be the Thunder's secret weapon, but also one of the league's most underrated defenders. Now, let's not overlook the brilliance of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a bona fide MVP candidate. While his offensive prowess often steals the spotlight, SGA's defensive impact this season has just been spectacular. He's averaging 2 steals per game, ranking 4th in the league, and his knack for disrupting passing lanes has been instrumental in OKC's success. But it doesn't stop there. He's also averaging 1.1 blocks per game, tying him for 2nd among all guards. Much like Dort, Shai is an elite isolation defender. He's holding opponents to a mere 0.56 points per possession in isolation scenarios, placing him in the top 10 among players who've defended at least 25 isolation possessions this season. He's even forcing a turnover on 1 out of every 3 isolation plays he defends. An incredible feat for a player whose offensive brilliance has constantly overshadowed his defensive capabilities. For how brilliant SGA has been as an ISO defender, he is just as great or even better of a pick-and-roll defender. So far this season, SGA is holding ball handlers to just 0.61 points per possession, the best mark among over 200 players who've defended at least 80 such possessions. And when it comes to guarding the perimeter, he's leading the league in opponent three-point percentage, outperforming elite defenders like Derek White, Jaden McDaniels, OG Anunoby, and even his own teammate, Dort. When it comes to the new additions, let's start with none other than Alex Caruso, a first-team all-defense standout and a key off-season acquisition. Caruso has brought championship pedigree to this young squad, serving as a defensive anchor and leader on the floor. While there's still room for growth on the offensive side, his shooting efficiency has dipped this season. Caruso's defense remains elite. He's averaging an impressive 1.9 steals per game and is a wizard at creating havoc, ranking 6th in the NBA with 3.6 deflections per game. Remarkably, he's the only player in the top 8 for steals per game who plays fewer than 20 minutes per night, a testament to his relentless energy and impact in limited time. Caruso's mastery of pick-and-roll defense is on another level. He's holding ball handlers to a jaw-dropping 0.26 points per possession, the best mark in the entire league. And here's the kicker. The player ranked second in this category allows more than double the points per possession, underscoring just how dominant Caruso is in this area. Simply put, Caruso is the definition of what it means to be a defensive specialist, proving that his impact goes far beyond the stat sheet. The final player we're diving into is someone who has made a monumental impact on OKC's defensive success this season. Isaiah Hartenstein, the other half of the team's key offseason additions. Stepping up in the wake of Chet Holmgren's injury, Hartenstein has solidified himself as a defensive powerhouse. He's been a force in the paint, holding opponents to just 54.9% shooting at the rim, nearly matching Chet's numbers from last season. But Hartenstein's contributions go beyond rim protection. In isolation, he's showcasing impressive footwork and discipline, contesting shots without fouling. His pick-and-roll defense has been just as great, excelling in drop coverage while also displaying the versatility to hedge high on screens and even challenge three-point attempts. Despite averaging 1.3 blocks per game, a seemingly modest figure for a big man logging nearly 30 minutes per night, his defensive value lies elsewhere. Hartenstein's true strengths are his agility and adaptability. Whether it's switching onto perimeter players or tightly contesting shots from any spot on the court without fouling, he's proving to be an all-around defensive anchor. His ability to clean up mistakes and protect the rim has become cornerstone of OKC's defensive system, making him an indispensable part of their defensive success this season. And now let's have a quick dive into how the Thunder have locked things down defensively when it matters most: clutch time. When the stakes are highest, OKC's defense rises to the occasion, proving to be one of the league's best. In clutch situations, the Thunder hold opponents to just 38.5% shooting from the field, the second lowest mark in the NBA. Only the Orlando Magic have been better, limiting opponents to an even more impressive 35%. But that's not all. Opposing teams manage just 6.7 points per game in the clutch against OKC, the fourth lowest in the league. Their relentless effort to contest shots and force turnovers has been pivotal, with the team averaging 0.8 steals in the final 5 minutes of tight games, another top 4 ranking. At the heart of this defensive dominance are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Dort, who have been nothing short of clutch themselves. Together, they've contributed over 0.6 steals per game in these moments, along with countless disruptions that don't always show up on the stat sheet. It's this unwavering lockdown mentality that cements OKC's reputation as a defensive juggernaut in the clutch. It's not just about individual brilliance. OKC's defense operates like a well-oiled machine. Their schemes are as cohesive as they come, with seamless switching across multiple positions, making them one of the toughest teams to score against. The numbers back it up. They lead the NBA in points allowed per isolation possession, holding opponents to just 0.73. In pick-and-roll defense, they're even more dominant, allowing a league-low 0.76 points per possession, while forcing turnovers on over 21% of plays, the highest rate in the NBA. Despite their many strengths, one glaring area where the Thunder must improve is defensive rebounding. While they rank a respectable 11th in the league for defensive rebounds per game, they also surrender a staggering 15.8 second chance points per game. an alarming figure that ranks as the second worst in the league, ahead of only the Washington Wizards. What's more, this issue isn't new. Last season, the Thunder allowed 15.3 second chance points per game, highlighting a persistent struggle to clean up missed shots. Opponents have repeatedly exploited this weakness, turning every loose ball into a fresh opportunity to chip away at the Thunder's defense. It's a vulnerability that undermines an otherwise impressive team striving for excellence. But here's the silver lining. If they can lock in on solving this problem, the Thunder could transform into a nearly flawless contender heading into the NBA playoffs. Head coach Mark Daigneault deserves immense credit for designing a defensive system that amplifies his roster's strengths. Whether it's blitzing pick and rolls, hedging on screens, or collapsing on post-ups, OKC's strategies resemble a chess grandmaster's moves, precise, calculated, and executed to perfection. This Oklahoma City Thunder squad is proving that defense truly wins games. With a blend of young talent, veteran leadership, and a system that maximizes their potential, they've transformed into a defensive juggernaut. From smothering perimeter shooters to contesting shots at the rim and thriving in transition, the Thunder have made one thing clear: they're a force to be reckoned with. If they sustain this level of play, don't just expect them to make a deep playoff run, start imagining them lifting the Larry O'Brien Trophy.